All right, so let's get to the healing for today. As I was thinking about what to talk about earlier today, my intuition spoke loud and clear. It said, when you see your client, you're going to teach what you taught her. All right, so I kind of taught her for more than 15 minutes, but one of the things she had asked me is like, how in the world does the Bengston Method work? Like, it just seems so strange. You're so carefully get these images, and then you're supposed to do this image thing, and you can't even like feel the feelings anymore, and then you can't even see the images. Like, why did we even bother getting the images in the first place if we can't see them, and it just doesn't make any sense at all. So an analogy I have, and this is my analogy, I don't know, Bengston might have thought that it was interesting or not, but I think he says that people kind of find his method and then project their philosophy into it, which makes sense. So I'm familiar with philosophies that have to do with detachment. And I've studied religions, and I've been a therapist most of my life, and so I'm always working with other people's philosophies and religions. And a big theme, cross-culturally, ancient, modern, is this idea of detachment. And I feel like the Bengston Method engineers enlightenment. And what do I mean by engineer? Engineers means he actually set up a structure where you pop out like toast, a little enlightened or a lot enlightened. And what do I mean by enlightenment? My definition of enlightenment is vast, but a piece of it is that you're able to accept the here and now and meet it with love, meet it with honesty, and just be here now and not judge it as something that it need not be. And then I thought, well, there's actually different forms of enlightenment. And there's a lot of people that try to get enlightened, which means go into the light, by leaving the earth. So this is where the positive thinking people go. They just leave the here and now with all the suffering, and they go imagine something that's nicer, that's freer, that's in some ways truer than all the suffering. And then they try to stay there. And it's almost like there's a implicit judgment that if you're suffering, you're not lofty enough in your thoughts. And to stop that, like get lofty, like get some help, ask God for help, do something so that you get out of your funk and you raise your vibratory frequency so that you somehow let the part of yourself that was suffering connect up to the heavenly part of yourself, which is not suffering, so that then everything works better downstream. And I would say that the Bengston Method flips that, and which is why I like it so much, because it's easier, and why it just engineers is like it takes the high vibratory frequency and it brings it into the here and now. So we don't have to be thinking lofty thoughts. We don't have to even be morally pure. We don't have to be thinking positively in order to have a very high vibratory frequency connect with what's going on right here, right now. And I would suggest that authenticity and that honesty, that letting the light emerge out of the here and now, rather than putting it into it or trying to leave the ugliness so that we don't suffer, is part of how image cycling works. So if you're image cycling, if you're hypercycling, so if you're new, I'm talking about the Bengston Method, and you can learn about that. There's links on my website, and maybe I'll remember to put one here where you can get his materials for a discount. But if you're hypercycling, which is a spinning meditation, you're not necessarily reverent or positive or not reverent or not positive. You're not necessarily anything. You're just being in the here and now. If you happen to be reverent, there's nothing wrong with that. If you happen to be positive, there's nothing wrong with that. But you don't use reverence and positivity as a tool to boss God around and get the healing that you want. You do it because you want to, because it feels good or something, but it's not a tool. And in the Bengston Method, we still use positive thinking. We have this list of things, and we program it in there. What would it be like to be my ideal weight, or what would it be like to be cured of cancer? What would it feel like, taste like, smell like? How would we be celebrating if I had a reliable car instead of that junk heap? Or whatever it is that you want, whatever your desires are. We have you really connect to your desire in a very substantial way as you possibly can. Really try to get in there. And then we do this exercise I call it the image exercise, where you actually, so you have the thing that you want and you put all this emotion around it. When you go like about this, if you're going through your list and you go about this fast, image. So that's my strong, slender body. That's my cancer cure. That's my nice car. You start having time to have a little story about it. And if you start having time to have that feeling come up inside you that you so carefully programmed into you. But if you start going about this fast, image, you have time to see the image, but you don't have time to have the feeling. And that is what I call engineering enlightenment, because you've actually separated the thought of what you want from the feeling of desire. And the feeling of desire, there's a push-pull, right? It's like if you want it, that means you don't have it. And you're putting out both vibes into the universe, and you're actually concretizing the very duality that you're so uncomfortable with. But if you can separate the image of what you want from the feeling, and go quickly enough, you've actually successfully disengaged from your desires, which is something that, if you were doing it in slow motion, would take a lifetime of study and philosophy and meditation and mentoring and a lot of self-development. Like the first time I facilitated a cancer cure, I wondered if it was morally legal, because I didn't feel like I had transformed enough. And I really thought, like, is this legal to have somebody's cancer? All I did was cycle and touch them. Like what's that about? Like, isn't that, it felt like some checks and balances in the universe weren't being respected. And since then, I felt like, no, cancer's such a big disease now. It's like, with the disease comes the resources to help the disease. And now I embrace the Bengston Method as, actually has a lot of moral development in it, and there's a lot of self-transformation in it, and at least the way I teach it. So anyway, I just wanted to give that little teaching in case it helped you understand the image drill a little better, that it has to do with detachment. And then what happens when you start going really fast, like this fast, you get so that you can't even see the images that fast. So you just, it's amazing how fast you can actually see images. It's rather amazing. But at some point you go faster than the image, and then you have to surrender the image too. So another level of detachment. And then you're really hypercycling. Then you're just seeing a blur. And then you detach from the blur. You go so fast that the blur disappears. Another level of detachment. And then it's more like just a feeling of speed. And then you go even faster still until there's like nothing there. And that's often the level where the most profound healing happens. And no, you can't jump there. Otherwise, everybody who does transcendental meditation and thinks of nothing would be cured of all their diseases. There's something to do with the thread that of sequentially letting go, and doing this whole thing that that facilitates healing. Okay, and I'd love to get your ideas about why you think that works, because I think this is a good forum for that. Okay, so there's my little. That's my little talk, my little speech on the image drill. It's hard to do the image drill. It's like you're breaking the matrix. Any other time in your life, when you think of a happy image, you get a happy feeling. When you think of a negative image, you get a negative feeling. Your images and your emotions are so hooked together. And when we unhook them by having the images so quickly that we don't have time to have the very strong emotions that would otherwise be there, it's like you're claiming freedom. You're claiming freedom to have an image without a feeling. And it's a revolutionary act. You can get pissed and just say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it fast. I don't care if it's hard. I can feel the molecules of the universe ripping apart when I do this, and new possibilities coming together when I do this. So as much as I love hypercycling because it's easy and fun and flowy-wowy and you get to feel the chi and it's nice, I feel like the image part of the Bengston Method is sometimes overlooked because it's hard to do. You only have to do it for like 2 minutes a day. It's not, you don't have to do it all day long. You just do it for a few minutes. You just give it a little drill. And then it changes your hypercycling, which is a whole nother, that's another thing I teach. We do drills where we notice the hypercycling, and then we do the image exercise, and then you hypercycle again, and it actually feels different. It's sort of like when I was learning the piano, if I just started playing without warming up, it was a little rough. Or if I did my hand-in exercises, where all these finger exercises, and then I went to play a piece on the piano, it's like my fingers just worked better. So the drill, the image drill is not there's a piece of healing because the matrix is breaking apart. So I actually think it is inherently a healing moment when we're doing that. But it also affects the hypercycling, all right? And then, of course, it helps if you've got things memorized and if you really